My parents call it just a get-together, when I wasn't invited to my sister's engagement party. So I took off on a solo trip instead. Hours later, my phone couldn't stop vibrating, and what I saw on the screen changed everything. The text from my mom came through while I was organizing my desk drawer at work. Small get-together at the house this Saturday. Nothing fancy. Just immediate family. I replied with a thumbs up and went back to sorting through old receipts, not thinking much of it. My sister Vanessa and I had never been particularly close. She was 3 years older, perpetually golden in our parents' eyes, and I'd grown accustomed to being the supporting character in the family narrative. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, dated a finance guy named Bradley, and lived in a pristine apartment downtown in Seattle that looked like it belonged in a home decor magazine. I taught 4th grade, rented a modest 1-bedroom in Ballard, and my idea of fancy dinnerware was the set I'd gotten on clearance at Target. Saturday morning arrived with unseasonably warm weather for October. I threw on jeans and a casual sweater, figuring I'd head over to my parents' place around noon. My phone buzzed just after 10 as I was pouring my second cup of coffee. It was my best friend Rachel. "Congrats on Vanessa. Saw your mom's post. The ring is gorgeous." My stomach dropped. I opened Instagram with shaking hands. There, posted 30 minutes ago, was a carousel of photos from my mother's account. Vanessa beaming, holding up her left hand to display a massive diamond ring. Bradley grinning beside her. My parents flanking them with champagne glasses raised. Extended family members I recognized crowded in the background. The caption read, "Our beautiful daughter's engagement party. So blessed to celebrate this special moment with family. #engaged life, #proud parents, #family first." I scrolled through every photo. 23 in total. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even my dad's brother from Michigan who I hadn't seen in 2 years. Everyone was there. Everyone except me. The small get-together was an engagement party. My sister's engagement party. And somehow, I wasn't important enough to attend. I sat on my kitchen floor, phone clutched in my hand, trying to process what felt like a physical blow to my chest. This wasn't an oversight. You don't accidentally fail to mention that the family gathering is actually a celebration for your daughter's engagement. You don't forget to tell one child that her sister just got engaged. My phone rang. Mom's face appeared on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again immediately. Declined. A text appeared, "Sweetie, can you call me back? Need to explain about today." Explain what? That I wasn't worth inviting to my own sister's engagement celebration? That they deliberately misled me about what the gathering was actually for? Or perhaps that in the hierarchy of our family, I ranked somewhere below second cousins they saw once every few years? Another text from Rachel, "Wait, you're not in any of these pics. Are you okay?" I wasn't okay. But sitting in my apartment dissecting their betrayal wasn't going to make me feel any better. I pulled up my laptop and searched for last-minute flight deals. My cursor hovered over various destinations before landing on Portland, Maine. I'd always wanted to visit Acadia National Park. A non-stop flight left in 3 hours. 30 minutes later, I'd booked the flight, reserved a rental car, and found a cozy bed and breakfast near Bar Harbor. I threw clothes into my small suitcase without really paying attention to what I packed. My phone continued buzzing with calls and texts from my parents. I silenced the notifications and headed to the airport. The drive felt automatic. Park, shuttle, check-in, security. I moved through it all in a fog of hurt and anger. By the time I boarded the plane, my phone had accumulated 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. I switched it to airplane mode, then powered it completely off before tucking it into my bag. I ordered a gin and tonic the moment the flight attendants began beverage service. The older woman beside me noticed my expression. "Rough day, honey?" "Family stuff," I managed. She nodded knowingly. "The people who are supposed to love you the most sure know how to hurt you the worst." Those words hit harder than I expected. I spent the rest of the flight staring out the window, watching the clouds pass beneath us. Landing in Portland brought a sense of relief. The cool coastal air felt cleansing as I stepped outside the terminal. I picked up my rental car and drove north toward Bar Harbor, watching the landscape shift from urban to rural to beautifully rugged coastline. For the first time all day, I could breathe properly. The bed and breakfast was perfect. A converted Victorian house painted cheerful yellow with white trim, overlooking the water. The owner, a kind woman in her 60s named Margaret, showed me to my room and mentioned that breakfast was served between 7 and 9. "You look like you could use some tea and cookies," she said gently. "I just made a fresh batch. Come down whenever you're ready." I unplugged my phone from my bag but left it off. Whatever chaos was happening back home could wait. I changed into comfortable clothes and went downstairs, where Margaret had set out an impressive spread of homemade cookies and a pot of Earl Grey. "Traveling alone?" she asked, not prying, just conversational. "Needed to get away for a bit." Best decision sometimes. This is a good place for that. Acadia has a way of putting things in perspective. I spent the evening walking along the shore near the inn, letting the sound of waves drown out the endless loop of questions in my head. Why wasn't I invited? Had Vanessa requested I be excluded? Or had my parents simply decided on their own that I wasn't necessary? The hurt of it felt bottomless. Back in my room around 9, I finally retrieved my phone from my bag and powered it back on. The screen immediately exploded with notifications. 73 missed calls. 146 text messages. 12 voicemails. My heart hammered as I started scrolling through them. "Mom, please call us back. This is getting ridiculous." "Dad, your mother is very upset. Call her." "Vanessa, seriously? You're going to make my engagement about you?" "My Aunt Linda, your parents are worried sick. Where are you?" Then I saw the notifications from Facebook and Instagram. I'd been tagged in multiple posts. Against my better judgment, I opened Instagram. My mother had made another post. This one was a long caption over a photo of my parents and Vanessa looking somber. "Heavy hearts tonight as we deal with family drama on what should be a joyful day. Sometimes people show their true colors. Prayers for healing and maturity. #family struggles #choose kindness." The comments were filled with supportive messages from people who had no idea what actually happened. "So sorry you're going through this. Family can be so difficult. Vanessa deserves better than jealous behavior." Jealous behavior? I hadn't even known there was an engagement to be jealous about. I kept scrolling, feeling sicker by the second. Several family members had shared similar vague posts about selfish people and attention-seeking behavior. My cousin Jennifer had posted, "Some people can't handle when good things happen to others." Really disappointing to see this from someone I thought was more mature. They'd created an entire narrative where I was the villain. The jealous, bitter sister who couldn't stand to see Vanessa happy. None of them mentioned that I'd been deliberately excluded and lied to. My hands shook as I opened the group chat with my cousins. The conversation was brutal. "Jennifer, can you believe Emma just disappeared? On Vanessa's special day?" "Tyler, so selfish. Aunt Carol is devastated." "Amanda, I always knew Emma was jealous of Vanessa, but this is next level." "Megan, did she really expect to be the center of attention at someone else's engagement party?" I hadn't expected to be the center of attention. I'd expected to be invited. There was a significant difference. Rachel had been texting me separately, increasingly frantic. "Emma, people are saying crazy things online. Where are you? Are you safe? Please just let me know you're okay." I called her. She picked up on the first ring. "Oh, thank God. What is happening?" The story came pouring out. The vague invitation. The Instagram discovery. The lies. Rachel listened without interrupting until I finished. "Emma, this is insane. They're making you out to be some kind of monster on social media. Your mom posted that you threw a tantrum when you found out about the party." "I wasn't even there to throw a tantrum." "I know that. But everyone else thinks you stormed out or something. You need to set the record straight." "But how could I? Anything I said would sound defensive. They'd already painted me as the jealous, immature sister. Explaining that I'd been deliberately excluded would just sound like more excuses in their narrative." I spent a sleepless night alternating between rage and heartbreak. My phone continued buzzing with messages, each one more accusatory than the last. My dad's text at midnight was particularly cutting. "Your behavior today was unacceptable. You owe your sister and your mother an apology. This selfishness stops now." Sunday morning arrived gray and misty. I dragged myself downstairs for breakfast, probably looking as awful as I felt. Margaret took one look at me and poured an extra-large cup of coffee. "Didn't sleep well?" "Family emergency," I said vaguely. "Anything I can help with?" The kindness from this stranger nearly broke me. I shook my head, not trusting my voice. After breakfast, I drove into Acadia National Park. The fog hung low over everything, creating an ethereal landscape that matched my mood. I parked at Jordan Pond and walked the loop trail, barely seeing the scenery through my thoughts. My phone rang again. Vanessa this time. I answered. "Are you done with your little tantrum?" Her voice dripped with condescension. What tantrum? I left town because I wasn't invited to your engagement party. Oh, please. Mom said you were invited to the family gathering. She told me it was just a small get-together. She didn't mention it was your engagement party or that you'd even gotten engaged. Silence on the other end. Then, that doesn't make sense. Mom said she told you everything. Well, she lied to you or she lied to me. Check your messages from Saturday morning if you don't believe me. More silence. Why would she do that? You tell me, Vanessa. It's your engagement. Look, I don't know what miscommunication happened, but your disappearing act really hurt Mom. She was crying all night. The audacity was breathtaking. She was crying? I found out my own sister got engaged through Instagram. I discovered that my entire family gathered to celebrate without me. But sure, Mom's the victim here. You're being dramatic. Am I? Check the Instagram posts. Count how many family members are there. Then explain to me how excluding one daughter from her sister's engagement party is just a simple miscommunication. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking again. I sat on a bench overlooking the pond, watching the fog slowly lift, and let myself cry. Not quiet tears, but ugly, gasping sobs that I'd been holding back since yesterday morning. An elderly couple walking past paused, concerned. Are you all right, dear? Just a bad weekend, I managed. They exchanged a look. The woman sat down beside me while her husband stood nearby. She didn't say anything, just sat there in silent solidarity until my crying subsided. Sometimes family can be the hardest thing, she said finally. I nodded, wiping my face with my sleeve. Whatever happened, you're allowed to feel hurt. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They continued their walk, leaving me with those simple but profound words. I was allowed to feel hurt. The validation from a complete stranger meant more than anything my family had said in years. My phone buzzed with a call from an unknown local number. I answered cautiously. Emma? This is your Aunt Patricia. My dad's youngest sister, the one who'd moved to Colorado 5 years ago and only came back for major events. Hi, Aunt Patricia. I need you to tell me exactly what happened yesterday. Your mother's version isn't adding up. Relief flooded through me. I explained everything, my voice steadier now. She listened carefully. So you had no idea Vanessa was engaged? None. The text just said a small family get-together. And no one told you it was actually an engagement party? Not until I saw the Instagram posts. She swore softly. Emma, I'm looking at these messages your mom sent me. She told everyone you knew about the engagement but refused to come because you were jealous. She said you'd been acting bitter toward Vanessa for months. The betrayal cut deeper. My mother hadn't just excluded me. She'd actively lied about my reaction to cover her own actions. That's not true. None of that is true. I believe you, sweetheart. Your mom has always had a way of rewriting history when it suits her. Where are you now? Maine. I booked a last-minute flight and just drove until I found somewhere peaceful. Good for you. Stay there as long as you need. I'm going to talk to your father. After we hung up, I sat by the pond for another hour, processing everything. My mother had orchestrated this entire situation. She deliberately kept the engagement from me, lied about what the gathering was for, then blamed me when I didn't show up. And my father had gone along with it. Vanessa had believed it without question. The sun broke through the clouds, warming my face. I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. It was time to stop being silent. I created a new post. A simple photo of Jordan Pond with the mountains in the background. The caption read, taking some much-needed time for myself in Maine. For those asking where I was yesterday, I wasn't invited to my sister's engagement party. My mother told me it was just a small family get-together and didn't mention Vanessa's engagement. I found out through Instagram along with everyone else. I'm not jealous or throwing a tantrum. I'm hurt that my family deliberately excluded me and then blamed me for not attending an event I didn't know existed. To Vanessa, congratulations on your engagement. I wish you and Bradley every happiness. I'm sorry this situation overshadowed your celebration. That was never my intention. To everyone else, please consider that there might be more to a story than what you see on social media. I hit post before I could second-guess myself. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within minutes, the comments section exploded. Rachel, I love you. Stay strong. My cousin Tyler, oh my God. Emma, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Several former high school friends, this is awful. You deserved better. But there were also defensive comments from family members who'd already chosen their side. Aunt Susan, this is inappropriate. You should handle family matters privately. Jennifer, making this public is so manipulative. My mother commented, very hurtful to air private family business online. Disappointed in this choice. The hypocrisy was staggering. She could post vague accusations about my character, but I couldn't state simple facts about what actually happened. My phone rang. Dad, this time. I answered. What you posted is completely unacceptable. Take it down now. No. Emma Catherine, I'm not asking. And I'm not a child you can order around anymore. Everything I posted is true. If you're embarrassed by it, maybe you should examine why you're comfortable with everyone thinking I'm a jealous brat but uncomfortable with them knowing what actually happened. Your mother made a mistake. She thought someone else had told you about the engagement. Who? Who did she think told me? Vanessa and I barely talk. You're the only people who would have told me. He had no answer for that? And even if that were true, which we both know it isn't, she could have called me Saturday morning to clarify. Instead, she let me believe it was just a casual family thing. Then when I didn't show up, she told everyone I was jealous and bitter. She lied about me, Dad. She was protecting Vanessa's special day. For what? For me? I'm her daughter too. Or doesn't that matter? You're being unfair. I'm being honest. There's a difference. I hung up on him too. My hands weren't shaking anymore. The fear and hurt were transforming into something else. Clarity, maybe. Or just the final acceptance that my family would never prioritize me the way they prioritized Vanessa. Over the next few hours, the comments section on my post became a battlefield. Family members argued back and forth. Some defended my parents. Others started questioning the narrative they'd been fed. Rachel posted her own Instagram story with a screenshot of my mother's original vague text to me, timestamped Saturday morning, with a caption, "For those calling Emma a liar, here's proof she was told it was just a get-together. Stop attacking people without knowing the full story." My cousin Amanda, who'd been one of the most vocal critics initially, sent me a direct message, "Emma, I feel terrible. I saw your mom crying and just assumed you'd done something awful. I never stopped to ask what actually happened. I'm really sorry." Her apology opened a floodgate. Over the next hour, I received messages from family members I hadn't heard from in years. Some were apologetic. Others were curious about my side of the story. A few admitted they'd always noticed something off about how my parents treated me compared to Vanessa, but never felt comfortable saying anything. My Uncle Robert, my dad's older brother, called me directly. "Your grandmother would be ashamed of how Carol treated you," he said bluntly. "She always worried about favoritism in the family. Looks like her concerns were valid." I didn't know Grandma noticed. She noticed everything. She used to pull me aside at family gatherings and ask if I thought you were doing okay. Said you had this look in your eyes sometimes, like you were trying to figure out where you fit. The revelation made my throat tight. My grandmother had passed away 3 years ago, before I'd fully understood the family dynamics myself. Knowing she'd seen it and cared made the grief fresh again. "She left you something in her will, you know. Set up in a trust that your parents were supposed to transfer to you when you turned 25. I never got anything." He was quiet for a moment. "I'm going to look into that. Your birthday was last February, wasn't it?" "Yes, February 10th. Stay by your phone. I'll call you back." While I waited, I scrolled through more messages. My high school English teacher had somehow found the post and commented, "Emma was one of my most thoughtful students. Kind, introspective, always considerate of others. This treatment doesn't match the person I knew at all." Former coworkers from my student teaching days chimed in with similar observations. It was surreal watching. People defend my character to strangers who'd been ready to crucify me based on my mother's implications. Uncle Robert called back an hour later, his voice tight with anger. "Your grandmother set up a trust with her engagement ring and $15,000 in cash. The trust was managed by her estate lawyer with explicit instructions to transfer everything to you on your 25th birthday. I just spoke with a lawyer. Your parents received the assets in February and signed documentation confirming they would deliver everything to you immediately. They never did." The room spun. $15,000 would have changed so much for me. I could have bought a reliable car instead of nursing my old Honda along. Could have taken that summer course I'd wanted. Could have had an emergency fund instead of living paycheck to paycheck. Why would they keep it? I'm going to find out. Emma, this isn't just morally wrong. This is conversion of trust assets. It's a serious legal matter. I'm calling your father tonight. After we hung up, I sat in stunned silence. The engagement party exclusion was one thing. But stealing my inheritance? That crossed into territory I couldn't rationalize or excuse. Another call came through. Vanessa? Did you know about Grandma's ring? I asked without preamble. What ring? The engagement ring Grandma left me in her will. And the savings bond. Did you know Mom and Dad never gave them to me? Emma, what are you talking about? Uncle Robert just told me. Grandma set up a trust with her ring and $15,000 in cash. I was supposed to get it on my 25th birthday back in February. The estate lawyer confirmed Mom and Dad received everything and signed papers saying they'd give it to me immediately. They never did. She was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Emma, Mom has been wearing the ring she said Dad bought her for their 30th anniversary in March. A vintage sapphire ring. She made this big deal about it being a surprise gift and posted photos of it all over Facebook. My grandmother's ring had been a sapphire. I'd seen it in photos. She's wearing my inheritance? I don't know for sure, but the timing matches. And now that I think about it, she was really weird about showing it to people. Said it was too precious to risk anyone asking too many questions about it. The betrayal had layers I hadn't even begun to uncover. Taking the ring was one thing, but wearing it? Flaunting what she'd stolen from me? There's more, Vanessa said, her voice strange. Mom set up a college fund for me when I was born. She's mentioned it several times over the years. I never really thought about it until now, but did you have one? I remember you always talked about your student loans, but I assumed you'd just chosen a more expensive school or something. No fund. They told me they couldn't afford to help with college. I took out loans for everything. Oh my God. Emma, you went to state school. Your tuition was half of what mine cost at the private university they insisted I attend. How did I never put that together? Emma, I think we need to talk to Uncle Robert together. Something is really wrong here. Aunt Patricia posted a long comment, having spoken with Emma directly, I believe her completely. Carol, you owe your daughter an honest apology, not more deflection. The rest of you need to step back and think about how quickly you jump to condemn someone based on incomplete information. My phone continued buzzing, but the tone shifted. More people were reaching out with support instead of accusations. Old friends I hadn't spoken to in years sent messages of encouragement. Even some family members who'd initially posted negative things sent private apologies. But the people whose apologies I actually wanted remained silent. Mom. Dad. Vanessa. They dug into their positions and apparently planned to stay there. Monday morning, I woke up to a voicemail from Vanessa, left at 3 a.m. Emma, it's me. I've been up all night thinking. I talked to Mom about what exactly she told you. You're right. She admits she didn't mention the engagement or that it was a party. She said she thought you'd be upset about my engagement and wanted to avoid drama, so she figured if you just showed up, you'd have to be supportive. I don't understand her logic either. I'm really sorry. This should never have happened. You're my sister. You should have been there. I should have made sure you were invited properly. I was so caught up in the excitement that I didn't even think to check with you directly. That's on me. Bradley and I want to take you to dinner when you get back. Please call me. I saved the voicemail and played it 3 more times, analyzing every word. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Vanessa had actually questioned our mother and gotten the truth. I didn't call her back immediately. Instead, I spent Monday exploring Bar Harbor, eating fresh lobster, browsing small shops, and processing everything. Margaret asked how I was doing over breakfast, and I found myself telling her the whole story. Family politics are exhausting, she said when I finished. Especially when someone's decided you're the scapegoat. Is that what this is? Sounds like it. Every family has one. The person who gets blamed when things go wrong, even when they're not at fault. The one whose feelings matter less. It's not fair, but it's common. What do you do about it? She considered the question carefully. You decide how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice for people who don't value you properly. Sometimes love means distance. Those words stayed with me as I drove back through Acadia. I climbed Cadillac Mountain and stood at the summit, looking out over the vast Atlantic Ocean. Up here, my family drama felt smaller. Not less painful, but more manageable somehow. I called Vanessa from the mountaintop. Emma. Are you okay? I'm in Maine. I'm fine. I got your voicemail. I'm so sorry. I should have handled this differently from the start. Yes, you should have. But Mom's the one who lied. To both of us, apparently. She said she was trying to protect my day from becoming dramatic. She assumed you'd be upset about my engagement. Why would I be upset about your engagement? Vanessa hesitated. She said you've been single for a while and might feel sensitive about it. The casual cruelty took my breath away. I've been single by choice. I like my life. I'm not desperately lonely and bitter. I know. I tried to tell her that, but you know how she gets ideas in her head. I did know. Mom had a way of creating narratives and then believing them so thoroughly that contradicting evidence became irrelevant. Vanessa, I need to ask you something honestly. Did you want me at your engagement party? Of course I did. You're my sister. We're not close. No, we're not. But I still wanted you there. I asked Mom to make sure everyone was invited. I assumed that included you. You assumed. You didn't check. Another pause. You're right. I should have reached out to you myself. I got so wrapped up in planning and posting photos that I didn't even notice you weren't there until Mom said you'd left town. I'm sorry, Emma. Really? It was something? Not everything, but something. I accept your apology. Congratulations on your engagement. I mean that. Thank you. Will you come to dinner with us? Maybe. I need some time. I understand. Take all the time you need. After hanging up, I sat on the summit for another hour. A young couple asked me to take their photo. They were beaming, clearly in love, wrapped around each other against the stunning backdrop. I wondered if Vanessa and Bradley looked at each other like that. Tuesday morning, I reluctantly began the journey home. The drive to Portland, the flight back, everything felt heavy with the knowledge that I'd have to face my family eventually. My phone had finally quieted down. The comment war on my Instagram had mostly died out. The story had run its course in the family gossip mill. Rachel picked me up from the airport, pulling me into a tight hug the moment she saw me. You look exhausted. I feel exhausted. Your mom has been calling me. She wants to know when you're coming back. What did you tell her? That I'm not your secretary and she should try actually listening when you talk instead of just waiting for her turn to speak. Despite everything, I laughed. You said that? Word for word. Your dad was not pleased. We stopped for coffee on the way back to my apartment. Rachel filled me in on everything I'd missed. My mother had eventually taken down the passive-aggressive post after enough people pointed out that it made her look bad. My cousin Tyler had apparently gotten into a huge argument with his mother about judging situations without all the facts. Aunt Patricia had sent a group text to various family members explaining exactly what had happened, receipts included. You've got people in your corner, Rachel said. Not everyone, but some. That's more than I expected. My apartment felt strange when I walked in. Like I'd been gone months instead of just a few days. Everything was exactly as I'd left it, but I felt different. Clearer somehow. Less willing to accept crumbs of consideration from people who should offer full meals of respect. Wednesday, I went back to work. My students were excited to see me, showing me pictures they'd drawn over the weekend. Their uncomplicated affection was healing. 9-year-olds don't play political games or create false narratives. They just tell you they missed you and ask if you brought back any cool rocks from Maine. After school, I finally responded to my mother's text with a simple message, I'm back. I need space right now. Please respect that. Her response came immediately, we need to talk about your behavior. My behavior? Still. Even after everything had been laid bare, she was focused on my behavior. I didn't respond. Thursday evening, Vanessa showed up at my apartment unannounced. I considered not answering the door, but curiosity won out. I come bearing Chinese food and apologies, she said, holding up takeout bags. I let her in. We ate in awkward silence for a few minutes before she spoke. I've been thinking a lot about us. About how we ended up so distant. We've always been distant. I know. But I don't think it has to stay that way. She set down her chopsticks. Emma, I've been the golden child my whole life. I know that. I never questioned it or thought about what it meant for you. I just accepted that Mom and Dad treated me differently and told myself I'd earned it somehow. You did earn it. You were everything they wanted. Maybe. But that shouldn't have meant you got less. Love isn't a finite resource that runs out if you give too much to one kid. I stared at her, surprised by the insight. Bradley pointed something out to me. He said the way Mom talks about you is weird. Like she's constantly bracing for you to mess up or cause problems. He asked when the last time was that you actually did anything wrong, and I couldn't think of anything. You're a good person, Emma. You work hard, you help people, you don't start drama. But Mom treats you like you're constantly on the verge of disappointing her. Hearing someone else acknowledge it felt validating in a way I hadn't expected. I don't know how to fix our family, Vanessa continued. But I want to fix us. You and me. We should be closer. We should actually know each other. Why now? Because I almost got married without my sister there. Because it took Bradley, someone who's known our family for 2 years, to point out something wasn't right. Because you deserved better and I didn't fight for you. We talked for 3 hours that night. Really talked, maybe for the first time in our adult lives. She told me about the pressure of being the favorite, the constant weight of expectations, the fear of losing their approval if she ever stumbled. I told her about the loneliness of being the afterthought, the exhaustion of trying to prove my worth, the hurt of watching everyone celebrate her while barely noticing me. I want you at the wedding, she said as she was leaving. Not as an obligation. As my sister. Will you think about being a bridesmaid? I'll think about it. She hugged me at the door, and for once, it felt genuine. Friday, Aunt Patricia called. Your mother wants to have a family meeting. She's insisting everyone needs to make peace. Let me guess. She wants me to apologize for embarrassing her online. Essentially, yes. Not happening. Good. I told her the same thing. Emma, you don't owe her the apology. She owes you one. A real one, not the non-apologies she's been practicing. She's been practicing? Oh yes. I heard it yesterday. Lots of I'm sorry you felt hurt and I'm sorry there was miscommunication but zero accountability for deliberately excluding you. Sounds about right. Stand your ground, sweetie. You're not wrong here. The family meeting happened without me. According to Tyler, who texted me updates, it was a disaster. My mother cried and played the victim. My father defended her blindly. Several family members walked out. Aunt Patricia apparently gave a speech about honesty and accountability that made my mother leave the room. You missed a real shit show, Tyler texted. But also, I'm sorry for believing the lies about you. I should have asked your side first. Thanks for saying that. For what it's worth, a lot of us are seeing things differently now. Mom's been controlling the narrative our whole lives. Maybe it's time we start questioning it. Over the following weeks, I rebuilt my life with intention. I spent time with people who actually valued me. I said no to family obligations that felt more like performances than genuine connections. I started seeing a therapist who helped me understand that protecting my peace wasn't selfish. Vanessa and I had dinner every other week. Slowly, carefully, we built something real. She told our mother that I would be a bridesmaid and it wasn't up for discussion. She included me in wedding planning decisions. She asked my opinion and actually listened to my answers. My parents remained distant. Mom sent occasional texts that were superficially friendly but never addressed what had actually happened. Dad acted like everything was fine, as if denying the problem would make it disappear. 3 months after the engagement party that wasn't meant for me, I drove back to Maine. This time it wasn't an escape. It was a choice. I hiked Cadillac Mountain again, stood at the summit, and felt the difference. The hurt was still there, probably always would be to some degree. But it didn't control me anymore. I posted a photo from the summit with a simple caption, "Sometimes getting excluded from the party is the best thing that could happen." It shows you who really values your presence and teaches you to value yourself. Thanks, Maine, for the perspective. The comments were supportive. But more importantly, I didn't need them to be. I knew my worth now, whether anyone else acknowledged it or not. Vanessa called while I was driving back to Bar Harbor. Love the post. When you get back, Bradley and I want to take you to that new Italian place. No family drama, just the 3 of us. Sounds perfect. Oh, and Emma? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on us. On me. I know I didn't deserve that grace, but I'm grateful for it. After we hung up, I smiled. The trip that started as a desperate escape had somehow transformed into the catalyst for change I needed. Not the change where my parents suddenly saw their mistakes and groveled for forgiveness. That was never going to happen. But the change where I stopped waiting for their approval and started building a life that didn't revolve around earning something I should have been given freely. The inheritance situation had taken on a life of its own. Uncle Robert had consulted with a lawyer friend who confirmed that withholding trust assets constituted serious financial misconduct. He'd sent a formal letter to my parents demanding they return the ring and the full $15,000 within 30 days or face legal action. The letter specified that if they'd spend any of the money, they would need to reimburse it from their own funds. My mother's response had been to call me hysterical. How could you involve lawyers? Over a simple misunderstanding? What's the misunderstanding, Mom? That you accidentally wore my grandmother's ring for 7 months? That you accidentally never mentioned the $15,000 you signed legal documents promising to give me? We were keeping it safe for you. By spending it and wearing the jewelry? We put that money towards some necessary home repairs. The roof was leaking. And you'll inherit the house someday anyway, so it's the same thing. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. So you decided to spend my inheritance early because eventually I might get a portion of your house? Do you hear yourself? You're being unreasonable. Family doesn't sue family. Family also doesn't steal from family, but here we are. She'd hung up on me. Dad had tried the guilt trip approach, texting, "Your mother is having panic attacks over this lawyer business. Is this really how you want to treat the woman who raised you?" I'd responded simply, "Return my inheritance. Then we can talk about how people should treat each other." The deadline was approaching. Uncle Robert had told me privately that if they returned everything, he'd advise me not to press charges. But if they refuse, we're going all the way. This kind of betrayal can't stand. Rachel had been my rock through all of it. "Your family is like an onion," she'd said over wine one evening. "Every layer you peel back reveals something worse." That's a terrible metaphor. But accurate. She wasn't wrong. The more I examined my childhood with adult eyes, the more I saw the patterns. Vanessa's mistakes explained away while mine were catalogued. Her achievements celebrated extravagantly while mine barely acknowledged. The subtle erosion of my self-worth disguised as normal family dynamics. "Are you going to sue them?" Rachel asked. "I don't want to. But I want my grandmother's ring. She meant for me to have it. And the money could change my life." "Then fight for it. Stop letting them make you feel guilty for wanting what's rightfully yours." My phone buzzed with a text from my mother, "Your father and I would like to take you to lunch next week." No agenda. Just lunch. I looked at the message for a long moment before responding, "Let me check my schedule and can get back to you." Not a yes. Not a no. Just a boundary. The first of many I'd be setting going forward. The bed and breakfast came into view, cheerful yellow paint bright against the evening sky. Margaret waved from the porch as I pulled up. "Welcome back. I was hoping you'd visit again." "Couldn't stay away." Good instincts. Sometimes we need to return to the places that helped us heal to remember how strong we are. That night, I sat on the porch with tea and watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. My phone was blessedly quiet. The drama had finally settled. Life was moving forward, different than before but better in ways I was still discovering. I never did get the apology I deserved from my parents. But I got something more valuable, the understanding that I didn't need it. Their inability to acknowledge their mistakes was their limitation, not my failure. Vanessa's wedding was 6 months away. I'd be standing beside her as a bridesmaid, supporting her day with genuine happiness. We'd never be as close as some sisters, too much history separated us for that. But we'd be closer than we were, and that felt like enough. The real victory wasn't revenge or payback. It was refusing to let their neglect define my value. It was choosing myself when they wouldn't choose me. It was building a life where I didn't have to beg for a seat at tables that should have always had my name on them. Maine had given me perspective. Distance had given me clarity. And my phone vibrating with all those messages had ultimately given me permission to stop accepting less than I deserved. Sometimes the best response to being excluded isn't demanding inclusion. It's recognizing that some parties aren't worth attending and some families need to earn their way back into your life, not the other way around. I took a photo of the sunset and posted it without caption. Because sometimes, beauty needs no explanation and peace requires no justification. You just live it.